They sacrifice ties with family and friends, deny themselves material possessions to take a vow of silence, and rarely set foot in the outside world. The whole life of the nuns is harmoniously ordered to preserving the continual remembrance of God. Just like the norm is for nuns, Sister Dominic decided to dedicate her life to serving all other beings and voluntarily leave mainstream society for a life of prayer and contemplation. From a staunch Catholic background, Sister Dominic shares her calling into the family of sisterhood.
Yeah, Bishop Caesar Asili, the founder of the missionary congregation of Mary Mother of the Church, the religious family that I later joined, comes from my region, and he used to move around all over Uganda around that time, looking for young women, young girls to join his then newly founded congregation. And when I was in primary, he came also to our area to look for vocation. So immediately after finishing P7, I was among those who were on fire to join the missionary congregation of Mary Mother of the Church. But what attracted me was the fact that this was a missionary one. Because up to that point, the idea of missionaries in my mind and in many of our people's mind was associated with the white people who came from Europe to evangelize us. Now here was an African man beginning a missionary congregation for local people, and even as young as I was at that time, this was really fascinating for me, that I would be going all over the world to preach the gospel. Whatever that meant was not very clear to me, but the whole thing of also being like the missionaries to go and preach the gospel was what captivated me. Because even in my primary education, I was a crusader. These are young people who are brought up with this desire to serve others, to help others in your community. So as a crusader in primary school, every after school we used to go around in our community to find out who are those people in need of help. Old people who wanted their houses to be swept, who wanted water to be fetched for them, who wanted to be clean. All of those things we started doing. Now, to become a sister was for me at that time doing it in a wider scale, all over the world.
But how was her childhood like?
Yes, Sister Dominic, DPO, is a Ugandan woman who comes from a specific background in Madi sub-region. And I come from Madi Vura Opi clan. This is the clan of the Madi royalty in West, in the West. Yes, and I come from a fairly big family. The immediate family I come from, we are 10 in the family, and I am child number 7. I came from a family that was extremely happy, big, and my father was a medical officer. My mother was a full-time housewife. Among the things I miss definitely is the way people grow today, you know, the happy family environment in which I grew with many children, an extended family also, is no longer something that we enjoy today, because also the nature of development and progress. People no longer live in one large compound. People are dispersed for so many reasons. Yeah, I enjoy the fact that I grew with my parents. I cannot take it for granted today when you see how children grow in extremely challenging settings. Yeah, I can just, the wonderful thing about myself that I remember with fondness was the childhood atmosphere.
Being the seventh born in a staunch Catholic family could not make a difference when it came to accepting a decision about one of them venturing into living a holy life.
That is something very interesting. Like when I went to join the convent, my father actually resisted a little because there was my elder sister who had at first wanted to join the convent. But after passing her P7 exams and all that, she just thought of going to secondary school and dropped the idea. But I was so happy that that idea was dropped because I was also interested. So when she dropped the idea, I picked it. But my father resisted actually. Clearly I was not among the people he wanted to join the convent. Later on I asked him and he told me why. But he was a real obstruction for me, though he had allowed for my elder sister. But then I went. When I became a nun and the celebration was done back in my parish, my father was extremely excited and he said, I can even build a chapel at home here now. Second followers happened to be twins, and they also decided that they wanted to join the convent. For them, my father did not object. He said, okay, if you want to follow your elder sister's footsteps, you're free to go. Two of them joined another congregation of Sisters of Sacred Heart, but one of the twins later left. So I presently have one other sister who is a nun.
One spectacular feature about Sister Dominic is her articulacy in English language and flawless command of discourses on a variety of issues.
My education, I went to primary in Chesia Primary School, that is in Germany. That was where my father was working, although my father comes from Moyo side. My mother comes from Germany, and for some family reasons they settled for a very long time in Germany, where my mother comes from. From P7 then I had already this desire, like I was telling you, when our founder used to go around to look for young girls to join the convent. I was one of them with a couple of other girls in my school. And so the next thing was to come to the convent school, which was St. Mary's Aboke. I joined Senior 1 as an aspirant and a postulant, and later a novice. I completed Senior 4 in St. Mary's Aboke. After that, there was a kind of connection between the girls of St. Mary's College Aboke and those who went to Trinity College Nabingo. So I went to Trinity College Nabingo for my A-level, and then thereafter I joined the university. I really must say that I have been privileged, and I can never take it for granted that I had a smooth transition, even as a nun, going on with my education system. There are a couple of reasons for this. One was my founder, Bishop Caesar Asili, was a very unique man, because at that time, as early as that, he wanted us to be educated as highly as possible, because he said, you are sisters who are going to work in a new context, and to be able to teach, to be able to evangelize people in this modern world, you need to be well equipped. I should say that around that time, it was not common. In the 80s, early 80s, and even maybe one or two of my sisters came in the late 70s. It was not fashionable to send nuns to a secular university like MAKERERE. But my founder had a lot of faith in these young women. He dared to send them in a very secular institution like MAKERERE University. And I remember him telling me one time, it is not the place, it is you. You know, you can be in any place. it's not correct to say this place is terrible, I can't be in it. So that faith in the young women was really something that we up to now marvel at, that he could take so much risk, because for some people it looked extremely risky. So after Trinity College, I came to MAKERERE University. By the way, I passed very well, and when I joined the university, there were a couple of people who were encouraging me, oh, this grade is so good. If you are going to do education, you are going to waste it. This is for law, because I did literature, history, and divinity. Those days, those were the subjects that could take you straight away to law. So I had a certain, hearing the voices from others, I said, can I possibly change? And because what was in my mind was that really a nun is going to be in the classroom. Teacher is the thing, nursing is the thing. So I just said, no, I'm not that ambitious. So I settled down to education. But he said, I will advise you to take law if there was canon law offered here. In the university, of course, there was no canon law. So I took my education, and my founder encouraged me and said, the best thing you need to focus on is whatever discipline you are doing, do it to the best of your ability. So that is really a kind of principle that has been underlying everything I do. I was set to teach in Komboni College in Lira. I remember I joined my colleagues for the master's program 3 weeks after, because I had not yet applied. So those were bad years of insurgency and so on. Then being in the north, you thought perhaps they didn't get my application. From there, really, I have been here, because when I completed, I was straight away retained as a teaching assistant, and then 2 years after as a lecturer. So in '98, I went to Rome to do my PhD, Pontifical Gregorian University of Rome, and I specialized in African cinema.
Sister Dominic is a host of surprises. Her calling to serve humanity does not stop at holiness, but she is an academician and has established herself in cinema and writing.
After now completing my PhD, I came back here as really a resourceful person. Between the time I was away, the university had been trying to revise its program, becoming aware of cinema as a new language, a new mode of expression that is bound to make impact in the continent. My first feature-length film, which is supposed to be a meal to forget, was done by the students. We did it here ourselves, a low-budget film, but it kind of set for Ugandans. At that time, it was 2009. It set the standard of how you should do a good movie, beginning from a well-written script. It is art association. Yeah. They used to award, I don't know what has happened to that, some outstanding art pieces every month or something, but it's no longer happening. But I think they took me we went to Angenoa. Can you imagine? that time there were 3 artists they identified as those whose works needed award, and they gave their certificate for a meal to forget in 2009. And they say, well, when a nun goes to Angenoa, I think one of the most important grants that I have won, which has benefited also many people in the department, is the folklore project. This is a research project that is a collaboration between MAKERERE University and the University of Bergen that ran from 2007. It ran from 2007 to 2012.
a lecturer at MAKERERE University since 1994 and now an associate professor. How does Sister Dominic balance the professional world and being a nun?
Temptations are always there, and I can never really say that I have overcome them. They are always there, and you must always be alert. And I pray. By the way, I don't know, it never really occurred to me to go clubbing. I think one of the things I want to say is that you know what the nature of your call is. Issues to be with going to the club is definitely not among the things that you select. When you define, this is my call, you know there are certain things that are compatible and those that are not. And you obviously go with what is compatible. And you also keep company with people who support you. When I was in the UK, when I was doing my master's, I had 3 months also, not master's, when I was doing my PhD in Rome, I had 3 months under the East African Commonwealth scholarship to go and research in the UK. And for a long time, they never knew I was a nun. But they will see me going to church, they will see me every day going to the, but it never occurred to me. So one day we went to Mass, and I met the Ugandan from Makerere who knew me and said, "Oh, Sister Dipio, how are you?" And this American friend of mine was with me. He said, "What? Are you a nun? What is this? I can't believe it." And so it's like, but what does it change? Really, that thing taught me 2 things. One, people's perception also of us as nuns is totally different, and also us, we are seen not to be associating with people and interacting with people, which is a problem because we are part of society. As you interact with people, you know exactly the margins that you can cross and that which you cannot cross. We are in the world, yes, but not for the world, you know.
Majority of people perceive nuns to be reserved and to live under vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Sister Dominic challenges us on this.
Just like Pope Francis says, we need to do a lot more. He says, I love that very much, what Pope said recently when he was talking to priests and religious and the clergy, when he said, you know, when you are a shepherd, when you are a pastor, you must smell like the sheep. Really, that phrase is really good to define exactly what you must smell like the sheep. Religious life that I belong to is broadly divided into 2. There is the active life, which is what I live, and then there is the contemplative life, which is what those who are living in cloistered life behind the walls of the convent and the monasteries live. Theirs is mostly contemplative in the sense that they are engaged in praying for the mission of evangelization. They are praying for those who are actively involved in the mission like the way I do and the way many of these nuns and priests that you see around. We are in the active life. The active life is, you know the story of Jesus, like Jesus going everywhere. Jesus was always with the people. Yes, wasn't it? Yes. That is what it means for us to be a missionary, to move to the people, to be with the people. Yes. And of course, our active life is not just always work, work, work. It is also work and prayer. In fact, I should say prayer and work. I think people need to know that, because sometimes when they say, yes, you are here, this is a very strange place for you to be in, by the way, they are just missing it.
A bright scholar and researcher, she shares with us her thought about the position of women in development today.
Priority is given to the men That is true in our traditional cultures, in most of our traditional cultures. But in the way I understand it, these priorities are not supposed to be oppressive to the women, really. But human beings being who they are, the men have abused this. So it is, what we are dealing with here is abuse of power. The society has structured it this way, yes, but in its logic, it's not supposed to be abusive. Now, what is in our faces, what we are dealing with now, that makes women so marginalized in traditional setting is the fact that the men have abused their power and are not behaving responsibly. So people should not really take women lightly. There is so much that they are doing without even getting due appreciation. And just remove it for one day and you'll see for yourself.
Whether the identity of a nun is a protection from the challenges women go through in life, Sister Dominic shares the contrary.
About women, I don't know how I can well translate it, but you know, when we eat food traditionally, we use condiment in it. We have Simpson pears, groundnut pears. That's the traditional way of eating. But when you are very poor, you cannot even afford those things, groundnut pears and things like that. So my people have a saying, I'll say it in my language, ukudri akitayo. Ukudri akitayo, that there is no woman who is like that sauce without condiment. That is the literal translation, which is really to say that really men can approach any woman, even when this woman is a nun. You understand? I would be lying to say that no man has approached me. They have. It is their nature. It is now my responsibility to remind them about my calling. They are the people who recite poetry, who recite poetry for women. So it's normal for them to do that, I guess. But it is you not to lose your direction.
As a member of a religious community of women, we ask her where she gets her strength from.
I don't live with the awareness of the challenges, by the way, every day. I just try to take one thing at a time. And I think I have enough confidence in myself, yes, not to allow myself to be put down by people. Of course, there are those people who try to put you down. Sometimes simply also because you are, for me, like, because you're a man, someone might say that as a marginalization in relation to the position where you are. Because you have told me already some of the stereotypes people have about nuns. And now that nun is also an academia. She's also the head of department. Of course, there are some people who may come with a certain blind of how to see you. But honestly, the thing that has saved me was to totally ignore that is their problem. It's not my problem.
Although a busy person, Sister Dominic, now in her 50s, has learned to balance her life and has spare time to enjoy some of the things she loves most.
I can tell you that if there is a party, for example, I love dancing. And if there is a party, for example, an open party like this, celebration, or maybe somebody's graduation, somebody's what, I am likely going to dance.
Having a role model has given purpose in life, and she does not hesitate to reciprocate some of the principles that have made her successful.
First of all, you know how in this country people have such great respect for nuns. That I take it, whether you do have it for me or not, I take it, that is the premise. I start from that because I am a nun. The usual feeling is of respect for you, and that for me is a good point to start interacting with whoever is my student. And I have totally no problem about the fact that they are not religious people I'm talking with, by the way, because I see myself principally as a human being. I am first a human being. So that is the entry point for me to enter in communication with any human being, regardless of whether this person is a nun or not a nun, black or white. That's the shared platform. So there shouldn't be any problem. Secondly, I talk from the position of authority of being also a nun. That is, they have a certain expectation of me, that I'm going to be fair, that I'm honest. And this is really, I think, what my students know about me, that I am also strict, that and I don't like anybody to lie to me. That is one thing, perhaps maybe you can tell me, you can tell me anything but a lie. I use that as a principle of life, that can you do something in your life that outlives you in a way, a legacy? Yes, I can. When there is something, musical performance, for example, art performance, I will make time for it. Yes, I will make time for it because I like art. Yes, performing art, music, I can go for it. I like to tell women out there that women, you are so endowed and nobody should put you down, because you are created in the same image and likeness of God, just like any human being has been. Therefore, my appeal to you is discover yourself. For a long time, perhaps, in your various contexts, you may have been looked down upon, but one thing that you should remember is that you are not different from any other person created in the wonderful image of God. And you should not be shy to discover who you are. There is still a lot that is undiscovered about you, your talents, and all those possibilities that are out there for you to reach for. I wish you a good journey there. on gender terrains in African cinema. Yeah. One noise attending MAKERERE here. And then this is the not so long ago book on
Okay. Would you be having a role model? Do you have someone you look up to? You're already a role model, but you
no,
also have
no,
a
no.
role model.
You look up to so. I look up to so many people.
Okay.
Yeah. You will be surprised, but my founder is really a role model for me. This man is such a role model for me
Okay.
that
The name
sometimes
again?
is Bishop Caesar Asile. This is a very yes. And then of course, a role model is sometimes somebody you are so far, but what they do really inspires you, and and some I am in awe before some people like Mother Teresa. I'm in awe of that woman. One, because she was extremely courageous to leave, she left the congregation that she had joined, the Loreto, and then she started this very poor one that she went for. So that is a lot of courage to leave a comfort zone. That's a big, leave a comfort zone, something that is already established, to start something else, to be a pathfinder of sorts. Yeah, I will never be like her and not follow her path, but there are things about what she did in life that really inspire me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe have you thought about the other question? What people do not know about you? And maybe one more thing that I'd forgotten I wanted to ask.
Yes.
At your time at campus, did you have like some men approaching you despite the fact
yes.
that
Yes.
you are a nun?
Yes, of course.
How did you?
This is it, really.
How did you do that?
This one is, I think, I'm still on my journey for further self-discovery myself.
The youth, advice to the youth.
I'll advise the youth.
Girl child.
Okay, the girl child. The girl child. Okay. And for the girl child, today you are in a much more privileged position than it was some years back. Take advantage of the opening that society has given you as a girl child. In many contexts, you shine more than you have a natural ability to go out and grab the world. I remember myself as a young girl. I was not shy, and that is what you are. Let that, forwardness that you demonstrate as a child carry you on up to the last day of your life. And the good thing is you have the environment now that allows you to be who you truly are meant to be.
Well said. Thank you very much.
Right.
We really enjoyed you.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Maybe now you can pretend like
now,
you're working.
Yeah. And then I think since you are doing video, this is. Yes.
You have to look good, of course.
When you yeah. I'm happy to hear that. I will go there and have. Do some of these legends and folk tales and stuff here? This will be interesting. Film titles, this was one of our class with the students, and
Yeah, you can be talking actually.
this is one of the first. On Love Corridors was one of the first short films we did with the students in Nairobi, and these are some of the people who were there at that presentation. And like I said, I've been working in the area of folklore, folk tales. Of course, with my students, they go in the field too. And for them, it has been really fun because people have been disconnected with their past. And it is great. And the title of this research that I talked about, that I said really I think it has benefited many people in MAKERERE, is this one. The role of Ugandan folklore as repository of traditional wisdom. It's like you touch one area, it just shows you many, many others. This is The Green Dream, a documentary which I did 2012.
Which one?
This one, this is the cover of The Green Dream, documentary film that I did in 20. This was in the US. This is my film Crafting the Ashaba, which was screening there, and I was having a lecture on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. I have one Coke, one. Yes, it is some little art. One of those art pieces about that's a student who did it. Cross Culture Foundation. And I left the university as a gift. It's called it is of the Red Indians. Of yeah, they, you know, this is a dream catcher. The text is also it's that you should put it near a window. You know, it catches your dreams. That is like a web there. So he was saying, okay, now you're going back to Africa. This is my present for you. This is supposed to be father. I think the bigger one here is mother, and the little child. It's
Actually, now see it more clear.
eh?
I now see it more clear.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I can tell also some people.
Yes.
Yes.
I will
Yeah.
tell you that I did before.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Of Daniel Comboni. He was a Comboni missionary, the founder of the Comboni missionaries. Go ahead. Recently, when I went for the installation of this guy, of the Holy Community, among all the so many people in the compound, very few. That tells me there is a lot of work to do there. Yes.
I welcome our dear viewers
Again.